by the administration that set our heroes up to fail. Congressman Michael McCaul hosted the Gold Star families of the 13 killed at the Abbey Gate bombing, and today that was held at a roundtable hearing that just ended a little while ago. Sir, it's good to have you on. What answers specifically are these families still looking for?
Well, first of all, we heard very powerful testimony from the parents whose children were essentially blown up by a suicide bomber. They're very frustrated that while the American people are listening to them and we listen to them, the administration seems to have deaf ears. We've been pursuing, since we took the majority, a very aggressive investigation. But the more that comes out, I think the more questions arise. And that is, first of all, you know, we had Sergeant Tyler Vargas Andrews testified, the sniper at Abbey Gate, that they had the suicide bomber in their sights, but were denied permission to engage by the commanding officer. They want to know why this commanding officer would not give permission to engage, take out the threat. They also want to know why an airstrike that was requested by our intelligence community and military to strike ISIS-K in the very hotel room where they were plotting this suicide bombing, why that was also denied.
The administration clearly just wanted to have, you know, this big moment of getting out within 20 years of 9/11 and having that, you know, that kind of marker there so that they could celebrate that. Do you think that that was blurring their vision? Was that messing up? Was that messing with their plans? Potentially doing this right might have screwed up their plans?
This timeline was so rushed, quite honestly, that it was not, they couldn't prepare adequately. And I fault the State Department probably more so than the Department of Defense. They were acting under orders to evacuate as soon as possible. They had to make really bad decisions, like we have to abandon Bagram Air Base, which, by the way, the prison there is where the suicide bomber came out of. I mean, the whole thing, I have to say, is so messed up. If you're going to do this right, I mean, do an evacuation when the fighting dies down in the wintertime in Afghanistan. Don't have some artificial timeline that then led to the death of not just the 13 servicemen and women, but 45 other service members that were injured, and 170 Afghans that were killed by this massive suicide bomber.
It was a massive bomb. It was a devastating bombing, and like you said, they had their sights on the guy that it could have been prevented, and that is outrageous. I want to play one more soundbite from today. This is the mother of Army Staff Sergeant Ryan Christian Knaus, who was killed at Abbey Gate. Take a listen.
Several presidents preceded Mr. Biden in this 20-year war, but none of them are to be held accountable for the withdrawal. That is he and he alone.
The mother there was absolutely correct. You know, Harry Truman said the buck stops here. He didn't pass the buck on. A true leader, when they make mistakes, they own it and they take responsibility and they show accountability. And that's all these family members want, is transparency and accountability. And yet this administration keeps trying to sweep it under the rug. They don't want to talk about it because they know it's embarrassing. And it was a disaster. Cooperating with our investigation and stop trying to stonewall it.
They just want to move on, act like it never happened. And that's not even remotely fair when it costs that many lives. Congressman, thanks so much for fighting for this. We do appreciate it. It's always good to see you, sir.
No, thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.